The tiny sidekick of Peter Pan known as Tinker Bell was such an iconic character in that classic film. So iconic, she's received 6 CGI spin-off movies made by Disney Toon. Do you know what this means? I can rank them, and for a series with that many flicks, none of them are bad. They're actually good at best and decent at worst, with one soaring above the others. FYI, Pixie Hollow Games and Pixie Hollow Bake Off are too short to qualify as movies, so while both were fun, they won't be in this list. And before I do what I do best, a spoiler alert has been fixed up for you. Find your technique today, for it'll take faith, trust, and pixie dust to breeze through this. Hey, I'm Owen, the fiction fanboy, and here are the top 6 Tinkerbell movies. Tinkerbell and the Lost Treasure. Our main character is tasked with making a scepter for the fragile moonstone, so the blue moon can shine upon it to make blue pixie dust. But her temper with friend Terrence leads to breaking the precious things. After hearing a tale about the wish-granting mirror, she gets the idea to go on an adventure to fix the stone with the one wish the mirror has left. And she gets accompanied by Blaze, the Firefly. This is the one in the franchise I consider to be the most okay. As in not super amazing, though nothing to get mad at. Speaking of mad, my gripe is that Tink goes a little overboard with her anger, and just because it's the conflict doesn't mean she should get fuming to the point where a member of the audience feels like offering a chill pill. At least she learned her lesson, admitted when she was wrong, and was able to fix more than the ceremony in this satisfactory journey. The Pirate Fairy. A year after Zarina could no longer work with pixie dust for her experiments, she comes back to steal some blue pixie dust while putting nearly every citizen to sleep during the Four Seasons Festival so she can help her pirate friends fly. To make the mission harder for the heroes, the little swashbuckling flyer made a talent swap. The cool-colored fairies switch with one another, and same for the warm-colored fairies. It'll take a lot of understanding of everyone's abilities to stop the pirates and reclaim what's theirs. Something small to mention is that this is the only movie in the series to not have narration in the beginning. Zarina's magic is pretty sweet. Can't say the same about her getting revenge. And seeing how Captain Hook, the crew, and the TikTok Croc came to be, it was all interesting, although there may be a few things keeping me from wanting to revisit it. Still possibly tolerable for the die-hard Neverland fans. Tinkerbell and the Legend of the Neverbeast. Fawn has a thing for helping animals, yet unlike other animal fairies, she helps even the critters that'll kill them, and may be crossing a line when she stumbles upon and takes care of a unique creature known as the Neverbeast, called Gruff. The Scout Fairies, more notably Nyx, is determined to hunt it down, for she sees it as a dangerous monster that could destroy Pixie Hollow. So with some assistance from her friends, they vow to protect Gruff to prevent anyone from hurting him. Plus, there are some things that might shock you just as much as it did for the characters. While the trope isn't anything new for cinema, it is a nice narrative, and perhaps the most colorful installment in my perspective. A tiny question I have for this film is, why is Tinkerbell the title character when it's more focused on Fawn? Oh well, it isn't that big of a deal, because regardless of what you think of that, it's still worthwhile. Tinkerbell and the Great Fairy Rescue. It's summertime for the fairies, and us, but that's besides the point. And the fairies are camping near a human house. Tink ends up getting caught by a 9-year-old girl named Liz, who's actually nice and gets to interact with one another. so the kid would know more about the fairies and try to impress her father, who doesn't have a lot of time for her and doesn't believe in fairies. Believing awful things are happening to Tink at the human house, the friends try to save her and the rain will be their biggest obstacle. The highlights of this movie are undoubtedly the value of the two bonds, one between Tink and Liz, and the other between Liz and her dad, even though it took some time for the parent to understand the child. Also, Vidya is less of a jerk, seeing as she didn't want Tink to get captured again after taking responsibility for getting the protagonist snatched the first time. A solid story, this is. Secret of the Wings. Winter is coming, and the usually curious Tink goes to the winter woods. What made her even more inquisitive, however, is that when she went there the first time, her wings sparkled, convincing her to find out what caused such rare activity. Turns out, she had a twin sister her entire life, and they planned on showing the importance of togetherness, hoping the rule of restrictions will be changed for the greater good. One could say the situation is a lot like Romeo and Juliet, except it's sibling love and nobody dies. Side note, there was a romantic tragedy that's vital to the plot, yet it's minor. Sure, outside of learning who made the law, the flick was kind of predictable and straightforward, yet none of it really bothered me, and simple does not always equate to bad. In fact, much like the previous entry, the relationship is the main feature. Tink in the winter woods, Periwinkle in the warmer woods, teaming up to save the pixie dust tree, and healing Tink's broken wing. Now, I'm sure you all know which film I gave the top spot to, and that would be... Tinkerbell. In this origin tale, we see how Tinkerbell was born, being welcomed by Queen Clarion, and she's been destined to be a Tinker Fairy. She meets one fairy from each of the other groups, and hears of the roles and how crucial they are for the mainland, aka our world. The more details she got about the mainland, the more interested in it she was. Exciting as all the information was, she ended up being quite disappointed to hear that tinkerers don't go to our world, and who wouldn't be? You know, aside from the fairies who got used to their job. Is Tink going to prevail with a different skill? Will she accept who she is meant to be? Or somewhere in the middle? I was honestly fascinated to see how things get done, and meeting the characters we'd see across what would become a hexology. It's a well-established finding their purpose story with no short supply of entertainment for the family. Overall, if you are interested in the franchise, I definitely suggest watching this flick first, and work your way up. For it and the 5 sequels are probably some of the finest Disney Toon motion pictures ever made. Want more fiction? Then please do what my friends say, comment below, and follow me on Instagram for thumbnail previews and teasers for upcoming YouTube videos. Fiction Fanboy has finished this video. Everyone keep fantasizing, and good night-o!